could not function. He burned out in medical school, could not function, became homeless because he could not get out of bed after that for months. And later he got himself together, went back to medical school. He was paying his own way through medical school, and then decided for 30 years he was going to devote himself. And I don't know why I've never heard of this guy, because I was doing all the research, but I wasn't doing the research. I was checking out symptoms because nobody could help me. Doctors could not help me. And I've got a couple of people like that right now. The doctors can't find out what's wrong with them. And I'm telling you, this is what's wrong. You've gone through similar things, but get everything checked out. And he says, I treat all my patients with D-ribose because it's down. Once you get burned out, this goes all the way to the cellular level, to your mitochondria. I was talking to a couple of guys who are therapists, and they're very smart people. They said, man, I think you've got a mitochondrial problem. You damaged the mitochondria somehow, and you've got a mitochondrial problem. The problem is nobody knows how to solve the mitochondrial problem. This guy said, take D-ribose, which is an amino acid, it's a sugar. It's a little simple sugar that your body doesn't really produce. You get it in food, but I guess I wasn't getting enough of it also. And he put me on D-ribose, L-carnitine, and then also B vitamins and CoQ10 and what else? And then it was that, and powdered multivitamin powder. And I started getting also on multivitamin, multi-C powder. But literally within 48 hours, it was like somebody turned on a light switch. My energy was back. This has been a month now. I literally was working at that point. I literally said, I got to do something. I'm desperate. If I can't get out of bed and I can't do this, I'm done. If this becomes chronic, I'm going to be on welfare if I don't get this problem solved. And the D-ribose triggered it within 24 hours. I was like, somebody turned on a light bulb. The foggy headedness started going away. It was the foggy head that I couldn't deal with. Literally, got to the point I couldn't drive. I couldn't do anything. I was literally almost bedridden for 4 or 5 days out of the week. I couldn't function. That did, and then I started doing with some DHEA. I'm taking about 16 supplements. I'm taking like 5 amino acids that are key, because here's what the researchers are trying to figure out. They know it's an ATP problem. They know it's an energy production problem. They know it has to do with the mitochondria. The problem is they can't figure out which of the amino acids actually fixes it. So they're doing tests with fibromyalgia patients, because fibromyalgia, which is unexplained muscle pain, is the most common thing, along with chronic fatigue after the burnout. And the thing with, I started doing the research on burnout, and the problem with burnout, it also looks like PTSD. The difference between the burnout and the PTSD is that you don't have the outbursts of anger. You're not having these violent nightmares that are reoccurring. You don't have the depression in a lot of the cases. Not depression. People confuse it with depression. I talk like this all the time when I'm talking to people, and it's like, bro, you don't sound depressed. It's not depression. It's I have no energy. I just started working on the van, which I've had for a year. I've been paying for this van, $800 a month, plus insurance, since May of last year. I bought it the week before my mother died, because I was going to build it out and get things going, because I wanted to take it to the next level. And it's literally sat there. I can't do anything with it. First of all, I can't find people to work on it. They want a fortune right now. Shop labor rates are between $150 and $250 an hour for shop labor rate. Everybody's in the same boat. Finally, I'm starting to work on all these projects. I'm getting all these projects out of the way. I'm building up the energy again. I started taking alpha lipoic acid. I'm going to put a list of everything I've been taking. And in the last 2 weeks, I started doing research on these aminos for the fibromyalgia and the chronic fatigue. and they were doing studies. These are small trial studies, but they showed promising results. They weren't conclusive. But I said, I'm going to try it. Nobody's got answers. Nobody knows. These are aminos. The side effects are very low. So I started doubling up and doing the therapeutic doses that these guys were doing 2 to 3 times a day. My goodness, this is the first podcast I've been able to do where I've been able to work all week. I've been able to work all week now for at least 4 hours a day in the field. Between 4 hours a day consistently for 2 weeks now since I started this new regimen. Progressively it's been better, and it's been amazing the way I feel now compared. I'm probably at about 50% capacity right now of what I was used to be able to do. Not full capacity yet, but the energy I feel, the enthusiasm I feel, where I said, I feel like I got my life back. I'm able to function where I don't have to take, like if I would have to take the entire weekend off. If I worked 4 days 2 weeks ago, I would take the entire weekend off. I wouldn't do a darn thing. If I did anything, I would have to take off Mondays if I did something on a Saturday. It was to the point up to a month ago, it would be, I went from working 2 hours a week to then 4 hours to working 2 days a week to working 3 days a week to then going back to having to take 4 days off to then having to take 3 days off to then having to take 2 days off to now where I'm just taking 2 days off, and I'm not working Saturdays or Sundays. And I stopped working Saturdays and Sundays in the business. We don't answer calls. We don't do anything in the business Monday to Friday. I've changed. This is why you've been seeing my post about burnout and burning people out, and because I understand it now. I understand it at a very intimate level. I understand what a lot of people go through. That not everyone is able to handle stress. We make fun of millennials, how they can't handle anything, and we make fun of, but understand that it's a lot of how they were raised, and I'm dealing with a lot of parents right now who are complaining about their 20-something-year-old kids at home that feel like they have no responsibility at home, that they're just working and just spending it on themselves, and they're 24, 25, 28. And I said, whose fault is that? You're the one that allows it.